Perfect. All right. So let me get the slideshow ready. Oh wait, probably click share first. All right. Can you see my screen? Just say yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. So hello everyone. Today I'll be talking about beliefs, habits, and identity. And this talk is based on what I heard and what I said on the Brothers Workshop this week. Alex gave a really good talk about beliefs, and I thought I'd share those ideas with you guys and then connect it to a talk that I gave about identity. Hopefully, you guys find it interesting, and yeah, we can share the knowledge that was um, distributed on the Brothers Workshop. You guys can also get an insight into what we discussed there. So anyway, let's get started. So yeah, Alex spoke about limiting beliefs and serving beliefs. So if you think about beliefs that you have about yourself, they're either limiting, and you tell yourself that you can't do something. So you can't do this because X or Y, whatever, or I'm not a good swimmer, and that's a belief that you have about yourself. And I'll get into why we have those beliefs in a second. But on the other hand, we'll have serving beliefs. So I can say that I am hardworking and disciplined, or I am well read. And those beliefs are serving because they help me to achieve things that I want to achieve instead of limiting myself. So on the right, you can see I put a picture of some hurdles. And I feel that if we have more limiting beliefs, we place more hurdles in front of us, and we put these obstacles up that make it harder for us to achieve what we want to achieve because we say, no, I can't do this, I can't do that, I'm not this, I'm not that. And I think it's very natural to do that, but it's not very helpful if we're actually trying to accomplish our goals. It's much more useful to have serving beliefs and to overcome these hurdles and then not even have them anymore by changing our attitude and telling yourself that you are hardworking and that you are whatever you want to be. And something that Alex touched on that can help with this is shifting your dopamine goalposts. So trying to enjoy the process when you're doing something instead of just focusing on the outcome. So even if you're struggling, try to enjoy the fact that you are struggling and that you are working towards something and knowing that you are working hard. And don't just think that, oh, I feel good when I do finally achieve whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. So anyway, yeah, why do we have these beliefs? Where do they come from, and what are they based on? And yeah, one thing that we looked at on this workshop was identity-based habits, and this idea comes from this book called Atomic Habits by James Clear, and he talks about how our habits reinforce our sense of identity. So thinking back to the examples I gave earlier, I said I'm not a good swimmer, and that's something I think about when I think of my own identity. But the reason I'm not a good swimmer is because I haven't developed the habit to be able to swim, and because I haven't practiced, that's part of my identity. So if I wanted to be able to say that I am a good swimmer, then I would need to change my habit. I would need to go practice swimming until I learn how to. And so clearly, our habits reinforce our sense of identity, whether those are uh, serving beliefs that are reinforced or limiting beliefs that are reinforced. So one thing that's important when it comes to identity-based habits is to be consistent. So as you can see, it says that anyone can exercise or eat healthy for one day, but a healthy person is someone who does these things regularly. Uh, yeah, I think I put the same point in twice, but that's okay. Uh, so yeah, if you think back to maybe some goals you set in the past, some New Year's resolutions, you're often thinking about the person that you want to be, right? Maybe you want to be a healthy person. Maybe you want to do well at school. And so you tell yourself, I'm going to revise for 1 hour every day, or I'm not going to eat fast food more than once a week or something like that. And I'm going to exercise every day. And those are all good serving beliefs. It's good to believe that you will do those things, but you'll quickly lose that belief if your habits don't reinforce that, if you're not proving to yourself that those uh, habits are something that you do, if you only do it for 1 or 2 days, then it's likely that you're going to stop believing that it's possible for you to do that very quickly. Whereas if you make these things into habits that you make yourself do regularly, eventually those habits will be part of your identity, and you won't have to think about eating healthy and doing exercise as something that's out of the ordinary. That's just who you are. You become a person who exercises regularly. You are a person who eats healthy food, and at that point, it's not something that requires that much conscious effort or thought. It's just something you do naturally, and then at that point, it's part of your identity. So then, when we're on this journey, when we're thinking about our habits and how they affect our identity, it's important to start with your ideal identity. So you really need to take time to think about the person that you are and the person that you want to be, and then think about the habits that the person you would like to be would have to do. So James Clear gives an example of a lady who was quite overweight, and she wanted to lose weight and become healthy, right? And so she started telling herself that she needed to do whatever a healthy person would do. So if she had the choice whether to walk or cycle somewhere or just drive, she would tell herself a healthy person would walk. Or if she had the choice between eating fast food or some healthy home cooked meal, she'd have to tell herself, well, somebody who is healthy would go for the home cooked meal instead of the fast food. And then by telling herself that she was somebody who does what a healthy person does, eventually her habits reflected that, and they became part of her identity. And eventually she was able to lose, I think it was 100 pounds of weight, because she just acted the way a healthy person would act. And eventually that became her identity. It became her reality. So at the bottom, I've got a quote that I actually stole from Tiger's presentation, but I think Aristotle did a really good job of summarizing this point, which is, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. So yeah, I think that's a really good summary of this whole identity-based habit concept. And I think this is quite encouraging as well, because it means that we can be whatever we want to be. All that is required is effort and consistency, and also to take time in the first place to think about what it is that we want to be, so that we can actually work towards achieving those goals and becoming that person that we want to be. And this extends beyond just the individual as well. So obviously on this call we have BCs, and we decide what I actually touched on this in another talk that I gave a few months ago, but I think it's a really important point, that as a community, as second gen, we can be whatever we want to be. We create the standard for second gen through our own examples, and we decide what's normal for a second gen and what's expected of a second gen. So if, for example, if all second gen started dating, then very quickly our younger brothers and sisters would think, oh, this is what second gen do. I know they talk about being pure and not being in a relationship before the matching and blessing. But if what they see is contrary to those statements, then they're going to think that's not something that second gen actually do. That's just things, those are just beliefs or things that second gen are told to do, but that's not what they really do. So we as second gen, as BCs, have a responsibility to create a high standard and to try to uplift our fellow brothers and sisters to that standard and to maintain our values. And I think that's really exciting. It can be daunting if you want to look at it that way, but I think it's exciting, and I think it's something to bear in mind, that our community can be whatever we want to be. We want it to be. It's up to us to shape it, and to realize our vision for our community. So that's it for the talk, and I've just got some discussion questions. So are you happy with your habits? What would you like to maintain or change? Secondly, what are some of your limiting beliefs? Or on the other hand, what are some of your serving beliefs? And lastly, how much time have you spent actively becoming the person you want to be? And have you given this question enough thought in the past? I think it's very easy to just drift through life and not really think about who it is that you want to be, or just to think about it in passing and then come back to your present reality and just deal with those responsibilities that you have. But I think it's really important to take some time out, think about what it is that you want to do, and then to take steps towards achieving those goals. Anyway, thank you guys. I hope you enjoy your discussions. And thank you for your attention.